Are you ready? Can crush us. It don't really get no better than this. The podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah, Can Crushers. Yeah, Can Crushers, let's go.
Well, let me tell you, brother. Ravishing Randy Hogan here, NWA WCW star, and I'm coming at you from the Can Crushers, baby. #1 podcast in the whole world, brother. Let me tell you, old school stories, not the same info, not the same questions, coming at you on a regular basis. And what you going to do when Can Crushers and Randomania run wild on you, brother?
Welcome to another edition of Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Jenksy, we're a little down. A lot going on. How are you, sir?
Been better. This has been probably a long week for a lot of reasons. I think for a lot of people, what's happened this week, those that have passed, and the 80s childhood really got rocked this past week. Those that grew up in the 80s and early 90s from that capacity. How are you?
You just summed up my intro.
Yeah.
You really did. Everybody knows where we're going. So let's pause, because this is going to be a completely different podcast that we had scheduled, and noteworthy why.
Right.
Yes, we had Can Crusher scheduled for this week. Hard shift in the wrestling, hard shift in life, hard shift in everything. That will be next week prior to SummerSlam predictions. That's the only thing we're going to do is Ask Can Crushers and SummerSlam predictions next week. But we have to do what we have to do. And it's not that we have to do it, we want to. Because Jenks said it best right there. I am an 80s baby. And we're going to run through them all. From Ozzy to Malcolm Jamal Warner, to why this podcast is a podcast, Hulk Hogan. It was a rough week. Rough week.
Yeah, it was a really rough week. I mean, this is something I don't think either of us expected to happen or talk about at this point in time anyways, but especially with the way the week progressed in terms of Malcolm first and then Ozzy, and then obviously the Hulkster yesterday as of recording, it was just mind-boggling a little bit to see that kind of rock our foundations a little bit of the wrestling fandom.
Yeah, I was always going to mention Malcolm Jamal Warner because growing up, The Cosby Show was one of my favorite, sitcoms to sit down. He was just so cool. He was so fly for a white guy. You know what I mean? I know he was an African American, but he had so many cool things that I wanted his shades as a little kid. I liked the way that he dressed, and just the Cosby Show itself. I'm going to say this across the board right now to get this all out of the way. We're talking about the personas. We're talking about the people that are actors, singers, professional wrestlers. We don't need to get into the politics in the last couple of years and or anybody. We're talking about what we know them as, because I never got to meet any of them. And shame on me. There will be a story later on about Hogan. But shame on me because I had the opportunity to meet two of the three. But we're talking about the impact that they had on TV, music, and professional wrestling, so fucking culture, essentially, with
Yeah.
2 of the 3 for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And I was planning on talking when Ozzy passed, because Ozzy was in professional wrestling for a hot minute.
He had he guest hosted, did a lot of things, war games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were going to have Ozzy time, but Hulkster has to throw his ace out there and says, I'm taking over Can Crushers this week. I know. I'm
the
playing
joke
light because
the other part of that, I know it. The joke is right there too. Hulk took creative control and booked himself the show. I'm just saying it was a joke that needed to be said because it was a joke for everything, but it hits you differently. You know, you cry, you reevaluate some things, you look at what has come about, and you really have deep introspective of, as a wrestling fan, what have I seen, who has passed, who has done, you know, what has happened over the course of the history. With Ozzy has become relevant, with War Games, War Pigs has become fantastically intertwined with that, including his guest host spot, including some other appearances that he's had. You know, Ozzy has been ingrained in professional wrestling to an extent. Malcolm has been, you know, I grew up in the 90s, but Cosby Show had reruns. You saw Cosby Show everywhere. You would see it even on Nick at Night, where you could pick that up and watch it as well. So the Malcolm played a role in a lot of it, and I know he had a starring role on recent television show, The Resident. He was doing other things. He also sacrificed himself for those that he loved.
Again, that was a big one. Again, his was a big one because he perfect health, everything. You know, I'm not knocking Ozzy and Hulk, but Malcolm was just so young, but he was saving others, and he got caught by the current again, a la Shad. And that brought me back to think about Shad Gaspar then, and I'm like, man, they're all great people.
Mm-hmm.
All great people.
All great people, and you know, it just is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. You know, it made me think, you know, who else have we lost over the years that in terms of wrestling, WrestleManias and all that stuff? Mark, I took a second to look at WrestleMania main events until we had both people still alive in them, or people still alive. Do you know through the first 11 WrestleManias, at least one person has passed from the main event?
Oh my God. No, see,
so
you're doing homework. I'm over here, and you are being emotional too. But I'm just like, I can't swallow it. So yeah,
the weirdest thing was, my thought was, I have to know, because you start thinking about Hogan, then you start thinking about Piper, and you start thinking of like Randy, Macho Man,
Andre,
all these people, and you're like, what is it? Because to me, you know, despite everything, the politics stuff with Hogan and that, and you know, we've had our shows where we poked fun at some lies and whatnot, but it was all in good fun at that point.
Right.
But when you start thinking about it and you start thinking about your childhood, there's only a handful where where one person was alive from that. So
up to
here's
11.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 5. It's 6 if you count Yoko versus Hogan at WrestleMania 9 as a main event, because it was the last match. 6 WrestleManias, the main event stars are no longer with us. That was 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9. And in the rest of them, which I think ends up being 5, there's at least one person alive. Actually, there's only one person alive in those events.
That's a tough pill to swallow. Like, WrestleMania started in 85. So,
yeah.
you know, that's when I'm 8.
That's when
roughly.
and I mean, when I started, I was about 6 or 7, whatever it was at that point in time. So WrestleMania 7 is when I, right around there, 7 or 8. It's one of those things where you start looking at it like, God damn. And I think Hogan passing kind of shifts the focus a little bit more and makes it more surreal, because he was the embodiment of the first 10 WrestleManias. You thought about WrestleMania, you thought about Hogan, at least through the first 9. And because he was the main event for, I believe, all of them, looking at this, besides Macho Man and DiBiase at 4, because that was the tournament one.
Right.
Hogan was so ingrained in early WWE that is the reason the company is where it's at today. And he's the reason that WCW stood a chance with Hall and Nash and the NWO, and why it took over for 83 weeks from WWE or WWF at the time. Hogan transcended the business for the 20 years he was a part of it.
More than that.
Well, yeah.
Because he's still linked to the business, no matter what. He came out during the Netflix special this year, probably the last time on WWE television that I remember. So say 84, and there's gonna be people correcting me saying, "God, you're wrestling fans, you don't know you guys know I don't remember what I ate for supper 5 minutes ago," but he has been my whole life, and I sat the night that he passed and instantly put on WWE Network, and it was a Coliseum video, and those hit home, and I watched, and we talked a little bit. I talked with John and Pat and other people that have been on podcasts that you guys all know if you've been here since day one, just shooting a text back and forth. And John said it, he's like maybe because of the last couple of years we haven't looked at Hogan well, whatever. But John started in Brooklyn. Then he went to Italy. Then he went to Ridgeway. Now he's in Pittsburgh. Throw a couple other cities in. He's like, I didn't know that he transcended my life. And that made me go, holy shit. So my story, real quick, and we'll bounce back and forth. But WrestleMania 1, John was there. I met John months after that when he moved to Ridgeway, and we instantly talked wrestling. Best friend all time. I'm sure you got this story too. To high school and this, that, and the other. And one of my work wives now on the garbage truck was dubbed the Hulkster. So all he's doing is wearing headbands now. And he's now the Hulkster of the garbage crew. It's amazing just how many steps of what Hulk did has been in my life. And if it wasn't for him, I'll get this out there right now, there's no Can Crushers. There's not wrestling that we know right now without him. And that's got to be every wrestler saying that, every podcaster, every culture of anything. It doesn't get to where it's at with billions and trillions of money without Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
So if he's not on everybody's Mount Rushmore, I don't know you.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, Hulk Hogan himself is the reason there was an Austin The Rock, John Cena, Roman Reigns. And by that, I mean, listen, there is no Northern Star without Hulk Hogan transcending the business and transforming it into what Vince McMahon wanted. It was a national and eventually global phenomenon. Without him doing that, you don't have the popularity spike when Austin shows up, when Rock shows up, and you catch lightning in a bottle twice with them. Cena was essentially right, wrong, or indifferent. And we love Cena right now. We all do. He's on his retirement tour, and that Cena is essentially Hulk Hogan in the Ruthless Aggression era through PG era. 5 moves of doom. We joked about it. Hogan had 5 moves of doom too. And that's all it was. But it was enough to spark and to capture an audience. Roman is the kids, which is what they needed. They needed the kids, the younger generation, to grow up with this, to go forward with. Roman is on the flip side of that. Roman is who they want people tracking to right now as the biggest star in the company. The kids acknowledge their OTC, but it all comes back to them eating their vitamins and saying their prayers because Hulkamania said so.
There's the chills. I was wondering when we were going to say that the chills are
I know. The chills are going to come. And it's not all come crashing down. It does hurt inside. But you move forward with it. I know I had to at that point. But that's the thing. Listen, nobody condones Terry Bollea as the man and what his choices are in that. But Hulk Hogan himself, and this is why we're a wrestling podcast, has been the light in everybody's childhood since you started wrestling. And those people that are too young for it, understandable, but you understand where it came from.
Yeah. You found wrestling because grandpa or dad or Aunt Sally or Uncle Joe, and they mentioned Hulk Hogan. Maybe you haven't taken the time to go back and watch. Listen, I'll tell you, because I know this years later. Watch some of his, stuff that he does in Japan, maybe prior to watching the WWF stuff. That
wrestled.
Hulk Hogan was fucking amazing.
That Hulk Hogan was a different animal at that point.
Yeah. Find it, watch it. It's out there anymore. It was hard for us to find. We didn't know when he would take, a couple months off where he was. He was hurt or this, that, or the other. He was wrestling in Japan.
In wrestling, he was throwing hip tosses, arm drags, drop kicks, doing everything under the sun.
Yeah.
I think if he did that in WWE ring, people would just pass out at that point because they wouldn't be able to comprehend what they were watching when that happened.
Hulk Hogan was the largest of life characters.
Mm-hmm.
The first person to get ready to knock it, because I've been waiting to talk about it since No Holds Barred. As horrible as that movie was with Zeus, it then became a SummerSlam main event that we all were like, oh, but it brought money tenfold. Yep. How many times have you watched it yet since he passed?
I haven't watched it since he passed. Have you?
I have not, but it's on. Okay. It's supposed to be a rainy weekend here, so
you got the opportunity.
I do. There are a couple things. I've watched the first 3 WrestleManias since he passed, because one was the glam. That was let's see if this WrestleMania thing is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
2 was the great steel cage match against Bundamania.
Yep.
And then the classic
3 was 3.
Andre.
Yeah.
It's just what Hulk Hogan, the people that Hulk Hogan has brought into my life. And I said we're going to be all over the place. We can talk about matches, we can talk whatever. But this one is always like right on my brain recently. Religious classes, when you're going to get confirmed or whatever. Catholics. Me and a couple guys were talking about, oh my God, did you see, wrestling this week or whatever? Because we all didn't go to the same schools, but we all went to the same religious class. So it was like buddies that you didn't have buddies of them buddies.
Yeah.
So we were all talking, and her name was Miss Park. And she's like, oh my God, I was at, this was WrestleMania 2 time. Okay. I was at that Saturday night's main event and it was in Dayton, Ohio, because I remember this, when Hulk Hogan got hurt, when the Heenan family jumped him prior to WrestleMania 2. This is my religious
Teach.
And it's just how wrestling gets involved. And I'm like, oh, Miss Park, no, you weren't. You're funny, but you like wrestling too. You're old. How do you because I'm an asshole, even young in my life.
Right.
Oh, no. I took pictures. I'll bring them in next week. Not only did she take pictures, she made copies of these pictures, and they're somewhere in one of these scrapbooks that my mom saved of like me. And then there's pictures of Hulk Hogan and the Heenan family and everything that she made me doubles when you had to go like to Widman's or some knockoff place to get doubles made. She made me doubles of Hulk Hogan getting beat down in Dayton, Ohio. Now, she should have sat in Ridgeway and watched it because you can barely tell.
Right. But
Ms. Mark, if you're listening to this right now, I thank you. I haven't seen you in probably 30 years. But I'm just saying, I still cherish those. But you needed better seats for me. You needed better seats. But
that's true.
It's funny, like a best friend, a religious teacher, your best friend, brothers. How Hulk Hogan has just taken my life and just put in pieces. And then the good Hogan. When we get to NWO, he reinvented wrestling again.
Yeah.
Jenks.
Yep. He redefined it at
Maybe
that
defined
point.
was the better word.
Yeah. But defined is the reinvented or redefined wrestling was the perfect way. Either one's the perfect way because it took wrestling from the gimmick era, or Mark's about to get really good on this one right now. With not to take away from Hulk Hogan, but he just opened a Kentucky bourbon barrel stout.
Oh, it's a stout. No, it's an ale. It's an ale.
Ale. Okay.
I went from a Great Lakes Rally Drum lemon shandy, which is -4.
It was warm too.
It was warm too. To this Kentucky bourbon.
I don't have any alcoholic beverage right now. I had an iced coffee with Bailey's in it. So how was that?
I'm saving one of these for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, he loves that one. He loves that. Hulkster understands. We got to put over the beer. Well, it's not real American beer, but he'll understand. Anyway,
I looked.
That is not coming anywhere near us anytime soon.
I know. I looked in the Tri-County for it because I wanted some today.
I would have tried it.
Is it done now? You hit your button so nobody can hear you. By the way.
Probably a good thing. My back?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably a good. I didn't know you could hit that button. Anyways, back to Hulkster here because he's who we're talking about. But with the NWO and that, you're right. He absolutely, bless you, redefined what wrestling was. It took it from that gimmicky era to almost a realistic type avenue, type matches, type everything about it. It was more realistic. It was brought WCW to relevancy, if you will, because remember, WWE dominated the 90s until that point.
Big time.
And if you watch the early Nitros leading up to 96 and Hall and Nash and then Hogan, it's a rough go. I tried to watch all of them. It was rough.
I was at one in Erie and we left.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. It's a rough go until Hall and Nash get there. I think I made it to January of 96 and I'm like, I know they're coming in 4 months, but my God in heaven, I can't do this anymore.
4 months,
but
36 more shows.
Yeah, exactly. But it made it to, you can tell the shift in Nitro and you can tell the shift in WCW because of this one monumental decision to take the childhood icon and turn him into NWO black and white bad guy that was never heard of, would never be heard of again, no matter how hard you try. You can never replicate what that happened.
Cena's is not as much as Hogan's was.
Cena's wishes it could be anything close to half of what Hogan's was. Because Hogan's was so out of the blue and out of nowhere that it shook the world to its core. And when he did that, that opened the floodgates of we have to change and adapt or die as a wrestling organization. And for whatever purpose it served, it's what made WWE survive to get into the 2000s where it could buy WCW and then go forward.
Yeah.
That's how much he reinvented it with one turn.
He also took, later in his career, he also went to TNA as well.
He did.
And if you look, you go back and you look at the spikes. There was some spikes for the first couple weeks, months, that then it got, and I'm not saying TNA today because I love TNA today, but then it got TNA-ish, back then. It was just way overboard. But the spikes were there. Wherever he went, if he shows up in Des Moines, because he's on the A roster of WWF, they were there. If he shows up in TNA, they were there. Ricky Morton said he puts asses in seats. And he does, because he is just what embodies professional wrestling. He was wrestling.
Yep. Through and through. He was the perfect professional wrestler in that regard, because he is what they want. It's what Vince wanted, and it's what the world wanted at that time. There was nothing else. There was no one else. Ric Flair, for all intents and purposes, greatest wrestler of all time. People loved him for that, but he was never as big as Hulk Hogan, because Hogan, not the greatest wrestler, but he was the greatest salesman of his wrestling gimmick.
Stick with the word WWE likes to use, entertainer.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. The greatest entertainer of all time. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense for him to Hulk up, but he does it, and he sells it so well that people just can't help but get behind it and engage with it and love it. That's why when the NWO came back in 2002 to No Way Out, and then him versus Rock at WrestleMania, they had to flip the script because they were eating up Hogan so much. He had to Hulk up, even in the black and white. He was the face of that match because the fans wanted their Hulk Hogan back, their WWE Hulk Hogan back, not the NWO.
You brought up that, so this is one that I want to talk about big time.
Yeah,
it was 2002, as you said, and I was with somebody that the family had no idea professional wrestling was a thing. Okay. No idea. And they're like, hey, we're going to go to my mom and dad's. You want to come? Like, I was really close to this person. Okay. Really close. It wasn't who I just left, right? It was just another spouse, essentially. Right. We're going to go to my mom and dad's, and it was actually in Erie. Jenks.
Okay.
So, not that we knew each other, but it was in Erie. I'm like, Stace, it's WrestleMania. I'm like, are we going to be back Sunday by like 7? So, I can go home and watch it. No, you don't work. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to go. She was like, you're not going to come see my parents with me because WrestleMania is on. I'm like, yeah, pretty much so. Let's get up there and we'll figure stuff out. Okay. Well, her stepdad's like, I heard something. There's a big match on or something. He's like, you kind of like that wrestling stuff. I'm like, yeah. He's like, get ready. He's like, it's fake. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Use whatever words you want to. It's a male soap opera, right? That's what we always say. He's like, isn't Hulk Hogan that old guy wrestling? I'm like, he is, Sam. He is wrestling. He's like, how do we watch that? I wouldn't mind watching that. He's like, I dabbled a little bit years ago with Bruno and everything. He's like, but this is all over the world right now. All this shit's coming back to my mind this week, by the way, Jenks. All this shit that I've forgotten, but that's what Hulk Hogan does. I'm like, yeah. I said, you have to buy it on pay-per-view, and it's like $60, and I can give you the $60 if we can watch it. He's like, do you want to watch it? Stacy yells from the other room, "You don't need to watch that tonight." And I'm like, you don't understand. This is at that point, it was the greatest match that never was or was.
Yeah.
So Sam's like, "You guys are staying anyway, right?" I'm like, "Oh my fucking God." This guy who looked at Bruno one time and was like, "Oh, that's wrestling."
Yeah.
Let him watch it. I'm like, yeah. So here's my card. They're like, we'll just put it on the TV because you used to be able to put it on the TV bill at the next month. Well, we'll just put it on the TV bill. Yada, yada, yada. Send us the money whenever. I'm like, oh my fucking God. They're like, what time does this start? I'm like, well, it's a whole event. So now I'm like, oh no, did I overstep my bounds?
Yeah.
Because they don't know this is going to be 10 hours long. I'm like, well, it starts at like, wait, what? Is this the first thing they're doing? I'm like, no. I said, this will probably be on at like 11 o'clock at night. We have to pay $60. And we're like, listen, you guys can go to the mall. You can go where I'm fine here. I'll watch the dogs. I'll watch the dogs and watch WrestleMania. I'm like, so I did watch the pay-per-view fully in my life, but I didn't watch the whole pay-per-view. It was midway, as like we bought it, but we had to go to supper. Like, you have to go to supper at least with us. Do you need to watch the prelims? I'm like, you don't even know the prelims are half the fucking battle. So we went to Texas Roadhouse, which is in the mall.
Yeah.
Got everybody happy. I'm looking at the clock. It's like 7:30. It's been on for 2 hours by now. And I'm like, holy shit, I wonder what I missed. Holy shit. We pull into their townhouse and they're like, you going to watch it from now? Yeah, sure. Shit. Well, let us know. Sam's like, let us know when that Hogan match is on. I'll sit in there with you. He comes in and it starts. He comes in, he watches it. Then the women come in and they're like, this is pretty big. Yeah. I'm like, there's a trillion people in the stadium that from start to finish. And I'm like, and I got you guys in here. It crossed, again, I'm going to use culture so much this freaking podcast. It crossed so many cultures that, like, people that didn't care or like wrestling at that point knew this new guy, The Rock, who had just come out of playing college football many years ago before that.
Right.
Still, they knew that name, and then they knew Hogan. And they're like, oh, they watched the match. Did they care as much as I did? Were they crying in the middle of it? No. Did they understand what the hell is wrong with Mark? Did we break up really quick after that? You can answer all those on yourself. But that's where live I watched that match in Erie.
That's amazing.
Jenks, I'll tell you exactly where it was. You go past the mall over, what is that, 79? No, 90.
No, that's 79. 79 is by the mall. Yeah.
Go over 79, back by like Pepsi or Coke, where distribution services is, and in a nook of there. I could probably find, I don't remember what it's called. It was gated.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's rough.
I got it.
You kind of know, right?
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of know.
Yeah. That's where I watched that match in Erie.
I watched that match through tapes because at that point, that was the thing, though. It was, my dad would find somebody that would record it, watch it, whatever. If it wasn't my cousins, it was that they would record it. I'd get it a week or so later just to watch it and kind of digest it in that. So, because at that point, it wasn't we're buying pay-per-views and we're buying these things. It was, okay, you get them from Jim or Bob or Dave or whatever it is, and then you can watch it as many times as you want to beat up a tape. I mean, that's how Survivor Series 94 and freaking Slamboree 94 is just beat the shit, but I watched it every damn time I could do it. And you brought up an interesting point there. You know, even with The Rock at that time, Scorpion King had just gone through. He was getting into the movie kick at that point. So he was starting to become a pop culture icon. Hogan had already been a pop culture icon. And around that time is when he jumped into reality TV stardom too. I mean, we'd span his wrestling career, but if you chronicle getting people left and right to buy in or watch Hulk Hogan do anything, the reality TV era of Hogan Knows Best was something that got a lot of people, including my sisters, who some of them couldn't give two shits about wrestling. If they did, they were in love with The Rock and only cared about when The Rock was on. Or it was like my friends who cared about reality television because it was stupid, dumb fun, but they didn't give two shits about wrestling because it's stupid, dumb fun. But they're also half naked men grappling at that point, and some people don't want to watch that. So it's where you could bring together people. And like, I'm bringing a wrestling perspective of it, and like, oh my God, this is so weird, you know, seeing Hulkster like this.
What is he doing?
What is he doing? He's raising a family. What the fuck is this, right? To my sisters are like, who cares about his professional wrestling career? Well, I do. And I remember distinctly watching the video of, first of all, I watched WrestleMania 21 live, watching Hogan come out in the red and yellow, saved Eugene from Muhammad Hassan. That big moment, it kickstarted the whole HBK Hogan drama that would come down later in the year. Is probably one of the, my opinion, one of the best oversell jobs I've ever seen in my life.
Without a doubt.
But it led to that. However, watching it live, seeing Adam Sandler and all of these movie stars, watching Hulk Hogan just dominate, do his thing in the ring, and then get convinced to come back for one more run after that, it plays with you. It really plays with the emotions in that. And then you can watch it on a reality TV show a month or two later, and you're seeing him get ready for this moment, seeing how much it meant to him to get back out there, get back into the ring, a WWE ring after leaving in 2003, going into the Hall of Fame that same weekend. It was a whole thing of just one emotional ride after another to put Hulk Hogan on the map and to move the needle forward and really bring people together to understand that he could be larger than life. In larger than wrestling, larger than this. And that was what made him Hulk Hogan, essentially.
Yeah, it really was. WrestleMania 1 for me was tape. WrestleMania 2 was tape. WrestleMania 3 was the first time that my father, we went to Katanning. I don't remember if it was a church in Katanning that was doing, I even forget what it's called, closed circuit. Does that sound like closed circuit TV where you still had to buy a ticket to go watch
circuit?
It?
Yep.
I'm not sure if it was a church or just like a rec hall or whatever, but they packed probably 500 people into this. And I don't understand how we got front row and an aisle seat. And I remember I was yelling at that. I had no idea that I wasn't in Pontiac that day.
Yeah.
You watched all of WrestleMania on it, but when Hogan came out and Andre come out on the greatest, and everybody can fight me, the best way you should get to the ring all the time.
Oh,
with those
that
little
mini rings?
Yeah.
That needs to be brought back. I 100% agree with that.
When those mini
it's majestic.
Rings, yeah, I agree. I went from Katanning to Pontiac. I know Hogan heard me. I know Andre felt me kick him when he was doing bad stuff. And again, this is help me on years. 88, right?
87.
87.
Yeah.
So I'm 10. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm 10 years old. this is my life. This is all that mattered. That this was Andre the Giant was my grandfather's favorite wrestler. And he told me how he did so good for years and years and years. And I've seen Andre be a good guy. But then me and my grandfather got in a fight. I'm like, no, he just ripped his cross off. And you should come. We're going to go watch this on TV in Katanning. And so that was like telling my grandfather we're going to Guam. My dad was so thrilled that we're going to Katanning to watch TV. But we went to Katanning to watch TV. Now, from where I'm living, because it's in the house that, I grew up in from right now, it takes me an hour and 45 minutes to get to Katanning. We drove an hour and 45 minutes to watch TV. But when that match came on, the main event of WrestleMania 3, Katanning was in the freaking Pontiac. You didn't know that you were watching on closed circuit or whatever. However, they broadcasted it back then. It was a broadcast major. I know how, but yada, yada, yada. It didn't matter. That was my first live WrestleMania of watching at least a part, because I've already ruined the story about the one in Erie. But since then, I've watched every WrestleMania because of that. Look what we do. We move heaven and hell. It was baseball season.
Yeah.
When we were at the Seawolves.
It was, yeah. And we made it happen.
Thank God it was an early Sunday game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they didn't travel until the next day, because the whole office went to, what's it, Fox and Trot or something like that.
Fox and Hound. Or,
yeah. To watch The Miz win.
Yep.
This is all because of Hogan. This is all because of Hogan.
It's all because of Hogan. It's childhood dreams being fulfilled. I mean, you think about, you talked about everybody going to Fox and Hound. That's because half the office was enamored with wrestling and any part of it. I remember the Gania didn't know who I was from whatever, right? But my first year, he goes, get in the car. We were going down to the Bayfront Convention Center to go. There was a job fair or something down there. He's like, get in. What do I hear on the radio? Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Then followed up with Shawn Michaels. And I go, you like wrestling? He goes, yeah. I go, so do I. He goes, what? And like, we just started back and forth there. I go, this is Shawn Michaels theme music. Last one was Hogan. And he's blue as ever loving mind. What did he do? Run and tell everybody in there that Jakes likes wrestling. This is going to be fantastic, right? But it opened it up because we bonded over that. Half the office could bond over that. Just the love of professional wrestling in its own right. But it spurred from hearing Hulk Hogan, hearing Real American play nonstop. You embraced it. You loved everything about it. But it was a childhood memory. It was childhood dreams. We all grew up wanting to be the next Hogan, the next Hogan, Hillbilly Jim over there. Hey,
he was Hogan's friend.
He was Hogan's friend. I tried growing up to be Vader. I mean, he wasn't Hogan's friend.
Thunder in Paradise.
The Thunder in Paradise, though. There you go. But, it was Hogan who made you really want to just play. I have the damn Thunder Buddy or whatever you call it, wrestling buddy here of Hulk Hogan hanging out in the house. You know how much I beat the shit out of that thing because I wanted to be a professional wrestler and I needed to wrestle something. My sisters weren't up for the task. They didn't want to do that, which is understandable. But
the first LJNs I ever bought was, they were never, but the LJN sold them like this. The first LJNs I bought was Hogan and Hillbilly Jim as tag team champions. They had the brown belts that barely fit Hillbilly Jim. and they were really loose on Hogan.
Yeah.
But it was for all the other wrestlers too. That was the first pack that my mom bought me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these two are good guys. So I had them for probably like 2 weeks of not using them.
Yeah.
Now, if you sell them, I could be retire off of what they're worth.
I wish I had the collection my grandfather had.
So then I bought the Iron Sheik, and it was like 2-on-1 all the time of Hogan and Hillbilly Jim just beating the shit out of the Iron Sheik. But Hogan was the first LJN that I had. And then, you know, all the little other toys came and everything. And this is great. This is what I was going to tell you. Everybody knows this whole podcast room is filled with autographs. With autographs of people I've met, people I've talked to online. I don't give a shit if you know if they're certified or not. They're mine. They're from the people. About 5 years ago, Hogan was going to show up in Pittsburgh. And it was a photograph with him was $100. I'm like, well, I want his autograph too. But if you do the combo, it's like $350. But you have to make sure that it's the 8x10. If you get a DVD signed, it was $500. You know, there was so many different stipulations about what you could get signed by him. And I'm like, as wrestlers do, and I don't mean this bad, any wrestler listening to this, your prices drop in time. And I'm like, dude's 60 years old. I'm rounding 60 years old. You know, it's going to come down in time. I don't have $350 right now. I never got that opportunity. I'm never now two wrestlers that I cannot have that are my all-time favorites. I cannot have a Hulk Hogan autograph, just like I don't have an Owen one.
Yeah.
So, which teaches me the money will return. That Hogan autograph right now, sitting next to CM Punk or Hillbilly Jim or Lex Luger or anything, is my memories that I'm not going to have. Right. And that sucks to me now. Like, don't wait. You know, I'm not telling you to go spend your money frivolously. I am not. If you're in the capacity of doing it and you can shift stuff or whatever, do it. Because 98% of these that I have, I've gotten in person. I've got to shake their hands and say thank you to them. Have it be Larry Zbyszko for a hot second because I just looked at him or whatever. Thank you, because you're part of my life. You've taken me out of reality. You've done this. I've never had that opportunity because I have a lot of money on my arm, which is because of Hogan. I have this room because of Hogan. I have this podcast. I have you. I have so many people in my family, in my life, and it's because of Hogan.
Yeah.
So the love of professional wrestling, throw it out of the window. It's just so much more because of Hogan.
It all leads back to Hogan, any way, shape, or form. I mean, you talked about the LJNs. I had the Hogan yellow britches going for it. You know, always beating up Big John Studd because I had Big John Studd. Or, you know, Junkyard Dog would come in and I'd turn him heel for a minute just because why not?
Right.
Well, you know,
it's
trying to be creative. It's my federation. I had the Hasbro, little Hogan, or wide hands up. He just goes doing the yeeting. He's yeeting all the time. I don't know what company it was, but it was at least a 4-foot tall plastic Hulk Hogan wrestling doll that my parents found somewhere. Godforsaken, I have no idea. It's still in my mother's attic. I have that. I have the Buddy.
That better be in the man cave.
I'm going to dig it out of the attic once I can get a chance to, so it can be in the man cave and just hang out down there. But that's it. I had different Hogan figures throughout the history, and I'd play the shit out of them. I mean, the yeeting Hasbro one, his broken fingers, because he got used so goddamn often, right? And that was the fun of it, because it was your federation. It was what you made of it. And at the time, as a kid, Hulk Hogan was the shit. In the blue ring, he was making it making it happen. As you get older, you find ways to embody and embrace who you love in professional wrestling. I've never had the opportunity to go see Hogan live. Didn't have that chance, and there's opportunities where now I can go see other people and do that. But at the end of the day, it's also one of those things where I'm like, I miss out on a lot of different icons in that. You've brought up Piper before on the podcast, and Piper himself, you had a wonderful story about meeting Piper and all of that. I would have loved to do that too. Hulk Hogan is always, no matter what you think about the man, he is always at the top tier. If you run into him, you're going to say hi. You're going to want to shake his hand because he did get you into professional wrestling and that. And now, but I got to ask the question to you. Would you ever take a trip to go to one of his shops?
Without a doubt. Without it. Listen, I told you I was looking for the beer this week because of it. And now I'm trying to figure I need to get to one of the shops because that's who I am. Are they going to close them now? Like, how fast can I get to one of these shops? And now be an asshole, because that's who I am. Overpay for something because prices
overpay.
Gone up.
Prices may have just gone up. They were probably over the top to begin with. So whatever they've gone up to now is just astronomical at that point. But
yeah,
there's two, I think.
Yeah. Florida, and I don't remember the other one.
I'm looking it up now.
Okay. While you look it up, I ask you, have you dabbled into any of the wrestler reactions and how, of course, I'm going to bring up my girl. Chelsea was on, I think, CNN. Nat was on one. And the one I wanted really, have you seen Ric Flair's?
Flair's was really tough to see. There's 4, by the way. 2 in Florida, 1 in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and 1 in Las Vegas. The one in Vegas is coming soon. It's not there yet.
Oh, shit. Hopefully
maybe by September. But I did see them, and they were sad. I mean, that's, a lot of people were very upset by that. And the wrestling world is going to react. But watching Ric Flair, probably one of his greatest rivals, break down and sob as he's paying that respect back, who, by the way, earlier this week cut his face open, so he looked like he had just gone through it in a cage.
A match
with Hogan in the cage, and then he's got to speak about this. It's tough. It has been tough to watch the wrestler reactions to that.
Yeah, of course I'm going back to Chelsea's because I watched them all, but Chelsea, you saw her fighting it. She's like, because of my husband, because of this. And some people are giving her grief that she talked as we're talking today. That, at the beginning of the interview, Chelsea is like, listen, outside, okay. But what he's done for wrestling, me, my husband, millions out there, just is the world to us. She's like, he's number one, period. End of sentence, end of book. Because of this. People are like, whoa, Chelsea. Let people have their thoughts. This is, all right, ready for hate during our remembrance to Hulk Hogan? It's not even a thought. Tell me, and I'll throw my boy, Hillbilly Jim, under the table. Could Hillbilly Jim have done what Hulk Hogan did to professional wrestling?
No.
And then I'll go down the line. Would we get a Cena? Would we get a Rock? Would we get?
That's to the point I brought up earlier. These people that we idolize, we wouldn't have had without him because he had to put the company on the map, and he was the reason it could go national and be successful.
There was wrestling before Hogan. There was Bruno. There was the Gagnes. There was, way back that we don't bring up, but it wasn't national. It was just so regional. Like, we love going back and watching regional stuff that we've never seen of the 60s, 70s in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Vince was smart enough to drag them over, the Harley races, this, that, and the other thing. But it was after who was there?
Hogan. And that's the other key to that, too. These people would have never made the jump if it wasn't for Hogan and Hogan putting it on the map. Harley Race would not have given WWE, WWF a look had it not been for Hogan's success. Junkyard Dog, not a look. Flair, when he finally $1 Million Man, not a look. Flair, when he was here for the 1 year in the 90s, would not have given it a look. Because Hogan provided and created the alternative to let these guys say, oh, there's a bigger stage for bigger money to be made. Yeah. Let me go do that. And let me see if it's for me. He was the reason a lot of these guys came over.
Yeah. And again, go back, because Chelsea's the female. Nat's different because Nat grew up in the family. You know, she had the wrestling family, but she did pay a lot of respect to Hogan. But Chelsea's like, because of, that's why I'm a wrestler. Yes, I did like Sherry Martel. I did like Miss Elizabeth. She throws in these names of women, but because of that made these women as well bigger than life.
Yep.
Is why I'm here.
If no one can tie back to Hogan the importance that he's had in professional wrestling, for professional wrestling, if you don't make that tie back, you're nuts. You're crazy. Listen, you can respect what he's done for the business and separate it from the man.
Right.
That he was
that's
outside.
What we're doing today.
And that's exactly what we're doing today. What he's done for the business is made it global, made us have this podcast. Mark brought that up several times. Mark's not going to be here talking professional wrestling. Mark's going to be playing baseball and talking baseball if Hulk Hogan had not come into his life and made professional wrestling what it is.
Pretty sure of that. Good call, Jenks.
Thank you. I don't know where I would be. Football, potentially, watching that, being a diehard fan of football. But I'd never have something to talk about, never have something to carry me through those tough times where I just needed something to lose my mind into, whether it was wrestling clip after wrestling clip, finding everything on YouTube. When the network came about and I could dive into the network and just watch every goddamn thing on the network, you find the outlets that you have. But it was this one common piece because of Hulk Hogan that has connected us in the past and brought us together to talk wrestling with you today and talk about this. Hulk Hogan did it all.
Yeah.
In terms of the professional wrestling business.
What is your favorite? And mine's probably going to blow your mind. It's not one of the big ones. What is your favorite Hogan match of all time? And I know there's trillions of them. You pick one of the big ones, whatever. I mean, let's throw WrestleMania 3 out the window.
Yeah, I'm not going to pull 3. I loved Hogan and Macho Man 5. I would also say, oh man, give me it's got to be Hogan and Macho. I also want so bad Hogan and Andre, Saturday night's main event when Hogan lost to Andre. Sticks in my mind, obviously because of the twin situation, whatever, that's fine, in selling the belt. But it was the invincibility was over at that point, and they were turning a new guard, right? So that threw me for a loop. Then it was thinking about Hogan building up just Hogan not in the tag team match, WrestleMania 9 tag team match, instead of in the main event. We eventually obviously went into the main event. We saw that whole kerfuffle happen. But I will also say I damn near loved Vader and Hogan at Super Bowl. No matter how much you take away what you say about Hogan, no selling power bombs or whatnot, that was fucking good. And then they followed it up on the beach in a cage.
Right.
That was good too. That was solid wrestling. That was peak big man. Two big men at that point.
Two meaty men.
Two meaty men slapping meat.
Yeah.
I love those two were probably, I had to think about it and go through my progression. Sorry, I'm taking long to answer this, but it was those two. I definitely loved those matches plus Macho and Hogan, because I thought that one with Miss Elizabeth involved was peak storytelling for that one. What do you have?
Your Macho and Hogan are, yes, that's my number one because of the story there involved. Yep. That's my number one. It's funny, neither one of us are going to mention any of the Tower of Dooms or any of the.
Yeah, we didn't mention any of that. I don't know why.
No. But my
Dungeon of Doom.
My number two is a steel cage match that I was watching with my grandfather. It was Saturday night's main event of him and Orndorff, where they both jump out together
and they touch.
Yeah. And it was amazing editing. Amazing editing. However they did it. Again, I know, but it was just the editing. I'm like, oh my God, Grandpa, they both hit at the same time. My grandfather's old school, and he was like, no, they didn't. They did. Look, they're showing us. This is live TV, Grandpa. Holy shit. I just remember them. Holy shit, they did it. What's going to happen? And my grandfather, I know I tell this story probably once every couple of years. Like, he didn't understand that NWA at that time and WWE were not one giant conglomeration.
Yeah.
He was the one in my head is like, why doesn't that Ric Flair guy and this Hulk guy never fight each other? Even at the age of then, I'm like, well, there's different letters in front of their titles. I don't think it's the same show. Wrestling's wrestling. I'm off par now. But to answer my own question, without a doubt, it's Hogan and Savage over Elizabeth, and then the Mega Powers getting reunited and all of that. And then probably more so because I was fighting with my grandfather, but the Orndorff Hogan cage match that just blew my mind, that two fucking people can hit the ground at the same time in the world. Unbelievable. This is awesome. But those are my, again, we're not disrespecting WrestleMania 3. It would change the landscape of life.
Yeah. But it's a lot talked about. And in the grand scheme of a career, it's not one of the best of his career. It's the biggest spectacle and entertainment thing of all time, but it was not one of his best. I also thought about a dark horse, even though it wasn't great, it was still weird to see, and it always sticks out in my head, is Kurt Angle and Hulk Hogan at King of the Ring, because I always forget that match happened. And then I remember
you just brought it up.
Yeah, and I'm like, that did happen. Another two era, basically fighting. Brock versus Hogan happened later that year too. I mean, that 2002 era, you just write it just across the board. It was, Hogan's facing Rock, the Game, Angle. He already faced the Undertaker. Got his neck hurt, whatever. You got to move on from that. But, you move
Go
forward.
Back and listen to our very first Hogan show.
Yeah. Yes. But, it was a lot of firsts that were happening with Hogan there. And here's a good one. Vince and Hogan in the street fight that brought Roddy Piper back. You forget about all these matches, and now they're all firing off in my skull now.
Gush right back in.
Yeah, they rushed right back in. Hogan and Vince wasn't a bad match in that street fight.
for what it was.
For what it was, the leg drop off the ladder, you know, it was a spot fest. It was what it was, but it set the tone for what they wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many moments. And maybe, well, let's ask that one. Maybe it's not a match. Maybe it's just a moment. Do you have one moment?
I've seen Hogan live a couple times.
Yeah.
My poor father hated professional wrestling, but my mother would say, "You're taking him." And it was just me and him on a Fullerton bus or driving here or driving there, because even though my dad was a trucker prior to me and my brother coming into this world, he didn't know directions worth a shit once he was driving. We got lost going here or there. We always would end up in like the baddest parts of town coming home from wherever. If it was, we were on a trip, somehow we just ended up someplace bad, the bad air quotes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
So we would be on buses and everything. And he's, a bus ride to Pittsburgh is you have to leave 3 hours before the event, get down there. The event's 3 hours, and then it's a day and a half almost. And he's just, your mother's making me take you to wrestling again. Okay. But we drove to Erie one time. Again, I've seen a lot of wrestling in Erie, and I was a little guy. It was Andre had just turned. So it was prior to. He had just turned.
Okay.
It was Andre and Hercules against Hogan and I want to say Orndorff, because I don't think Orndorff had turned yet.
Okay.
But it was in the midst, or maybe it wasn't Orndorff. I know it wasn't Hillbilly Jim because he was doing him and little people with Bundy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't remember really who Hogan's partner was, but I want to say it was Orndorff because I know it was Andre and Hercules. And, Andre came out and I'm like, oh my God, his hands are as big as, my head right now, which were bigger because I was only 10 or 8 at that time. When Hogan came out in Erie at what is Erie Insurance Arena right now, whatever it was called back
Center.
then. Yeah. I'm going to get struck. It was like Jesus was walking on water. When dun, 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 you heard that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy, probably that childhood memory, because it was a tag team match. And it lasted 30 fucking seconds. I don't even know if Andre got in a ring. Hogan kind of kicked him. He fell off the apron. They worked over Hercules like nobody, like an AEW match. Just worked over real quick. Leg drop, boom, get us out of there. Because the other part of the show was so long. But probably, like I said, I've seen him in Pittsburgh, but we were so far away. We were rather close, kind of where we were sitting.
Okay.
For AEW, kind of like right in there, which was good seats. So yeah, probably that. If I have to pick a moment that I was there, that. One that I've seen on TV, I'll have to go to WrestleMania 3 because WrestleMania 3 has been just ticking in my mind over the last couple of days, because I said I teleported to Pontiac from Katanning that day. Your button's off, by the way. It's off still. You are nowhere near be found. Check your USB. Nothing. Jenks is very good with equipment. While Jenks figures that out, I'll throw that out there to him as well. He's got himself turned off now on
Always turn
the
myself.
live stream. There he is.
Okay. You can't take me anywhere. You remote.
You're in your own house.
Microphone. I don't even know how to use it. My moment for Hogan, I never got to see him live. I believe I know my first WWE show was 1994, and I remember seeing The Undertaker that show, but I know Hogan was gone by then. We never went to WCW. It was always WWF. You had to watch WWF. You'll get the tapes for WCW, but it was always you watch WWF in our house. So I would say my favorite Hogan moment, it was on TV. I'll pick two. The first one was WrestleMania 18. That has to rank up there because the turn from black and white to red and yellow, even though he didn't change the clothes, just he was Hulkamania again. It was absolutely mind-blowingly perfect. And I loved every minute of that. The second moment had to be, and this is going to be weird, but it was always ingrained in me because it was shocked to all hell. And I remember shooting up, grabbing my head, not comprehending what had happened, was when Shawn turned on Hogan. I didn't understand why, but I remember it was 4th of July, and I remember my heart was like, what the fuck just happened? Why is this happening? And it led up to obviously that match that infamous match. But at the time, it was very naive, Mike. Still in high school years, Mike, not comprehending what was going on, and still in utter disbelief because didn't know why, and I couldn't comprehend why. And I just remember that shook me for a couple days. Like it just didn't make any sense to me. Now, obviously, the cultural impact of 3, 2, 1, whatever it is, but that moment for some reason stuck with me more than anything. Because I just couldn't comprehend it at that time.
Right. That was a shock to your system.
It was. The NWO, that's shocking the system as well. But I also knew about it before I saw it.
Right.
So my moment was at school. Somebody talked about it. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean?
I gotta go home and watch this.
I gotta go. I need a tape. Where's my tape? I need the tape to watch this shit.
Yeah, Bill, where's my tape?
Give me my fucking tape. But I didn't have it, so I couldn't blow my mind as much anymore. But it was those two moments for me that were just like, oh, god damn.
Yeah. I ask this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I really do. And I know they've been kind of on the outs recently. Has anybody checked on Brutus Beefcake? That was a ride or die for 40 years. And then
Brother Brudai, yeah, disciple, whatever you want to call him at certain times.
There's 65 names.
There's 65 names, but he always came back to saying, he was always around Hogan. I know he tweeted about it yesterday. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not.
He did. Brutus said, through the good times and bad, I've always loved my brother Terry. I am devastated by the loss of my friend, and I only wish we had time to mend our broken friendship before his passing. Till I see you, brother, in the big squared circle in the sky. He loves you. So obviously, that takes another wrinkle in it as well, because this is somebody that people lost friendships over. And sometimes we can all relate, when people pass, you want to make amends, or you were intending to make amends before somebody passed away. And the fact that you hadn't reached out or hadn't been able to do that yet, and they pass, it wrecks you a little bit. And you were mentioning not getting that signature. That's gone. That autograph is gone. For Brutus, it's just not. It was one of those things where he had a ride or die, but at the end of the day, they could not reconcile their differences, and it hurts.
Does hurt. It does hurt. And that was the first person I thought of. And I know, we're an hour plus into the show that we bring him up because we wanted to give Hogan his due before we kind of, at least me, and then you can jump on wherever you want to, turn a little bit. Because of this, there is, and I say this on my TikToks every day, and Jenks can verify this, it is love one another.
Yep.
Listen, I know some shady shit happens in everybody's life. We're here for a very short time.
Mm-hmm.
90% of life can be like, hey, I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I did this. Should never fight over money because money is the root of all evil. This, that, and the other thing. I'm not turning into Dr. Phil, but when you have somebody like Brudi and Hogan, that's sad now because I'm sure that tweet was the hardest thing he got to write, and he is gushing more than we are. And he's like, man, maybe I needed to do the olive branch. Whatever. If you're going through anything with anybody, tell them, listen, the past is the past. Let's take that next step to be, whatever. I've had friendships go up and down, in and out, left and right. And I thought about all that, and I'm like, it's just too short. Yeah. It is too short. Have it be friends, family, or anything in between. Don't lose what made you, essentially, is where I'm going. And if they've been in your life, they made you. Mm-hmm. Reach out. Get the phone call. I brought up my dad a lot in this podcast. Sure shit, sent him a text the other day because we in the podcast in general. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Good, stop up and have a beer. Okay, I will. We can start mending this again, or we can start mending that again, or if it's Ethan, or if it's whomever.
Yeah.
Don't be poor Ed Leslie that's gonna have a rough life now.
The always what if.
Yep. And it takes something like this, and I know we should live this every day. This is huge. This is huge for the wrestling world, but 80s kid, this, that, and the other, as we said, don't lose your ride or dies, the ones that love you.
Yeah. Tiffs are temporary. If it can be worked through with communication, work through it.
Communication's key.
It is. Absolutely. It's key.
The silent treatment, this no contact bullshit that's out there being relegated around the world is what breaks a lot of stuff up.
Yep. The pettiness of it all.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with that. You have to just be the bigger person, be the mature one. You'll feel a lot better.
They might be hard talks, but have them.
A moment in time of hardness would be worth it in the end.
Yeah. From a lifetime of a relationship or friendship or whatever. Yep. Yeah.
Lifetime of regret.
So, Brudi, if you're out there, reach out. We'll talk to you. Right?
Yeah.
Where else you want to go? This could be 18 hours. He had a 40-year career.
He had a long ass career. Where do you want to go? What do you?
I don't want any ill. I don't want ill will today.
Yeah,
on it.
And
but how about some of? And I'm saying wrestling related. Some of the stuff that the funny stuff, because I brought it up. Man, when he was like creative control and he would book himself for these Dungeon of Doom matches, and did he think they were going to get over? Did he think, man, this is going to be fucking amazing? This is going to be something that's going to be talked about forever. Oh, it is.
He couldn't have thought it was any good.
Like,
there's no way.
I'd love to pick his brain. Your Tower of Terror matches on paper, because you had to put them on paper.
You had to put them on paper and say, hey, listen to this great idea, guys, I have for this. And then look people in the eye and then hope people didn't look at you like you're nuts.
But you're the Hulkster, so they're like, hey, he's moved mountains. We should try this once.
He's the Hulkster. He's moved mountains. And you can't really say no to him because of his contract.
Right. But you do it more than once then. You're like, dude, we tried it once. Do you tell him it sucked? Let me ask you this. This is now we're going to get a playful a little bit.
This is going to be.
Do you ever tell Hulkster that sucked, dude?
If I was against Hulkster, I would tell him that absolutely sucks. If you're afraid of him, you're going to tell him, no, Mr. Hulk, that's a fantastic idea. You should do this. Now, I don't know. I would be saying it was a great idea, Mr. Hogan. Please move forward with it. Would you tell him it sucked?
Well, the thing is, if I was one of the execs, and there was many execs probably that should not have been execs when Hogan was in and around, we're talking about his funny careers, he brings money. So you're like, holy shit. If this, even sitting in the background, you're an intern, you're like, this sounds like the worst fucking idea I've ever heard in my life. But he's loaded. So what happens if it does hit? I couldn't say this sounds horrible, because I'd be like, this could be the next biggest fucking match in professional wrestling. Yeah, it's a one-off every year, but it's become a pay-per-view then. It's built around this. Now, he didn't make a bull rope match, which is cool, or he didn't make the Hell in the Cell, or this, that, or the other.
But he thought he was making it.
He did.
He was trying to one-up War Games, and he thought he was going to be over it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. And now, does that play into whose company it was at that point? And by that, I mean, Dusty had a lot of good ideas, and people were running with Dusty's ideas. Was Hogan just trying to establish his dominance over somebody who had been trashed in WWE back in the 80s?
I don't know. We both answered that we wouldn't say anything.
I know, but at the same token, it's also like, I might say something.
You have somebody higher up. Have it be Bischoff or LaRusso.
To that point, Bischoff wasn't saying anything to Hogan either.
No.
I mean,
he'd be the only one that would have maybe like, hey, Hulkster, this 3 matches, one's the size of a tuna can, one's the size of a Chevette, the next one's the size of, a gymnasium, and the last one engulfs the whole arena. What are we doing here in this? What you just have to get to the bottom? Oh, and you can handcuff people on the way down, so it's really just easy for you to get to the bottom.
doesn't say. At some point, you have to be like, this is just stupid.
Yeah.
And like looking
But are
at
you
it
going to
back
watch
and
that at
looking
some
like
point? Are you going to watch that because of it's
I put
maybe
that
one
out
of
of
the
my
last
head.
matches that you watch? But
You know what? Ironically, if you want to watch Hogan, it might be one of the first because you want to see some shit before you see the good stuff. I mean, you've seen the good stuff over and over again.
right.
So would you just curiosity killed the cat, put that one on first?
Why not?
I'll tell you what match I'm putting on first because I've called it out several times in this podcast already. I'm putting on SummerSlam 2005 with him and Shawn. That match, goofiest fucking thing of overselling Shawn Michaels has ever done. And you hear the backstory of it, whether because, whether they didn't want to do the 3-part series, whatever it is. At the same token, had that match been wrestled normally, it would have been a damn good match.
Probably.
But now you have the absurdity of Shawn Michaels being petty as all shit with Hulk Hogan, who's trying to do his normal Hulkster moves,
Right.
and with Shawn bouncing out of the ring and all that, and watching Hogan get visibly frustrated at this. That match itself, while not the Tower of Doom level bad, put itself in its own infamous type category just because of how much historically it became ingrained in our culture at that point.
Nonsensical.
Absolutely ridiculous, but you can only chuckle at now.
Yeah.
In a way that you would chuckle at Tower of Doom saying that's just terrible. You chuckle at this saying, well, this Shawn Michaels made this absolutely ridiculous, but it's still funny as hell to watch.
Yeah. I'll probably have to watch that one. I haven't watched that one probably since.
I've watched it a couple times since.
I've seen, you always see clips of it when you're seeing ridiculous stuff in professional wrestling. But to watch the whole thing through.
I remember watching it a couple times, and one time I watched it, I brought it back to Moochie's attention. Now, Moochie had a time where he didn't watch professional wrestling. It was after the Attitude Era, and then it was up until Shane came back in 2016. So he had a significant amount of time, and his wife always blames me for getting him back into professional wrestling, despite the fact he put it on when I came over that night. Not me. I didn't force him to do it. But so he put it on. He got back in it, and I go, I have just the match for you because he likes terrible movies, terrible jokes, anything under the sun. Watch Hogan and Shawn Michaels. It's like they fought each other. I'm like, absolutely. I get a text 20 minutes later, LMAO with a bunch of O's and exclamation points because this was up his alley. He had no idea this was happening. He had no idea this was happening. That's how absurd it was. Because it was just one petty veteran getting pissed at another that, for all intents and purposes, he's done what he's always done throughout his career and put over Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. And
That might be the first one I watch, actually, now. You're selling it more.
It's a masterclass in absurdity.
Yeah. As it rewinds now. As it rewinds in the head, I just see a punch and he is just ricocheted, not the wrestler, just ricocheted into the
entranceway. The kick on the turnbuckle where he's just bouncing up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Everything. The big boot before the leg drop where he stands straight up and then falls back down a la like Ric Flair. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. But it happened.
I do hope, because as recording, SmackDown's going on, and if you didn't watch SmackDown yet, I'll spoil it for you. They're going to do a big to-do last night. Yeah. I know Duggan's going to be there. I know the $1 Million Man's going to be there. I think they said 2 or 3 more, but like it's going, they may be scrapping SmackDown, and they can, because
This
everything is set up for SummerSlam already.
right.
The card had been released as a recording today.
Yeah,
Did you
and
see that?
I did see that.
Like they tell you the day and when, like, boom, this is what's going on. So they may be scrapping a lot of SmackDown, and as they should. Because Trips was. Do you read his words and see some of his stuff?
Yes.
He's a wreck.
He is a wreck. No matter, Trips is a wrestling fan through and through, and he understands the significance of Hulk Hogan in the company. And this was a big deal.
Yeah.
So
I hope, as recording, like I said, as SmackDown's going on, I hope they do scrap, and I hope it's very Hogan heavy. And shit, if Sami Zayn comes out with red and yellow on and he shaved and he looks like the Hulkster tonight, I'm all for it. Yes.
let's go down that. I'm going to go back a little bit, but also go down this. We have now a overused term that happens, but you saying Sammy dressed in red and yellow, maybe down this path. Everybody, if they're an older generation person or has been around for a while, if they start beating up younger talent, they are Hogan. Becky Hogan. She leaned into that with the red and yellow outfit the past couple weeks. Mercedes Hogan. This Hogan, that Hogan. That's another reason why how important he is. It's not because he just kept getting putting over on people and all that stuff. It's because of how big of his name he was. He could get that control. He could get whatever he wanted, and he could do whatever he wanted to do. Now, you were talking about the tribute show and how big it is. Yes, those are kind of ironically tributes and all of that, playing into a little bit of fun. But you don't think every single person that played into that kind of smiled a little bit with that?
Oh, without a doubt.
They owned that because they knew, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. In the biz, I'll take that as a badge to wear right now. And that's where you're going to see when they go out on stage, which I didn't realize it was in Cleveland tonight. In Cleveland, they're going to probably cry a little bit.
Yep.
They're going to be emotional. The 10-bell salute will play on SmackDown.
Start the show, without a doubt.
Start of the show. It will be a sad time for many people. Because this is real life, and when you talk WWE and professional wrestling, that is real life.
Yeah. The signs that are going to be there, the stories that our age telling, Ethan and younger,
Yeah,
the story about what's going on, because they had tickets probably for 6 months, and they're like, why are the Street Profits doing this tonight? Well, let me tell you about this guy that we were just talking about 5 minutes ago. He is the reason why we're here tonight. He is why Fox gave WWE $5 billion.
Yep.
This is, sorry to steal the name, this is Mr. Wrestling.
Yeah.
Nothing against the real Mr. Wrestling or Mr. Wrestling 2 or the 900 that have followed. But if there is a Mr. Wrestling, it's the guy that we've been talking about for the last hour and a half.
It's always been a Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I just saw somebody brought this up on Twitter. Chan Man, thank you. Do you know who Hulk Hogan's final WWE match was against?
No.
It's the same man that faced Triple H in his last televised match and the same man that faced Dusty Rhodes in his last match. It's Randy Orton. And Randy Orton will be there live. And I don't know if that's sat on his head or he understands the significance of that. But Randy Orton was the last man to face Hulk Hogan in the WWE ring.
Wow. Bring
that full circle 20 years later. Because that was 06. So 19 years later.
And Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, Paul Orndorff, Cowboy Bob Orton was WrestleMania 1.
Yep.
How fucking ironic does the world work that Bob Orton's son was Hogan's last match?
In a WWE ring. Yeah.
Right. Wow. That just
blew my mind. That blew my mind. I didn't even. You don't put that together. You don't put these things together like that. And like somebody pointing that out, yeah, it's cool. It's a fascinating add-on that Triple H's last televised match and Dusty Rhodes' last match was Randy Orton. But when you connect it to, he was Hogan's last WWE match, and and Orton's father was involved in WrestleMania 1 with cast and all.
Right.
He was
cast
there.
And all.
Cast and all.
Wow.
Crazy.
Talk about transcending generations.
Yeah.
And I know, and I'll say this again, and we can do wherever you want to go or wrap. You can say Hulk Hogan to somebody that doesn't know anything about professional wrestling. And they can say, oh, he's that wrestler guy, but he was also reality and did movies.
Yep.
What's your favorite Hulk Hogan movie? Not that any of them, sorry, Hulkster, not that any of them were good.
Fuck it. Mr. Nanny. The Nanny one. I think it's Mr. Nanny, right?
Yeah.
I love that one. No Holds Barred, obviously, is a decent one.
No Holds Barred was, yeah. Well,
yeah. Which one?
It was so bad. It's Suburban Commando.
Oh, that one is, yeah. It's so bad. It's
so
good.
Bad. It's a cult classic.
That's true. That's a good one. I forgot. How did I forget about Suburban Commando?
But we have to say this. Now that we're talking movies, he was in Rocky, which is...
He was in Rocky 3.
Fucking Thunderlips.
Thunderlips, yeah. That is something.
Right. We want to talk about favorite. That's probably...
That, obviously, that transcends them all. Well, that includes Mr. T, because he fought Mr. T in that. Clubber Lang was in that as well.
Stallone.
It's Stallone, and then you have Clubber Lang to tie it all back together.
Yeah. We could go on.
We could. You know what was sad that I also saw this week? That I don't know if you saw this. Do you remember the Hogan super fan that was in the crowd? Always?
Yeah.
He passed away too this week.
No, he didn't.
Wrestling News put it out yesterday. I remember seeing it. And it just came across my feed again. Roddy Hogan died this week as well. As he was called.
Oh my God.
So you want to talk about being a super fan?
Yeah.
We talked about those the fan BS that they did on network and all that stuff.
Right.
Roddy Hogan, if you know, you know. You've seen him mid 80s through the 90s.
He was
through
on
it all.
Every Coliseum video. Which was still
single
better
one.
than Peacock or anything. Coliseum videos were fucking phenomenal.
Coliseum videos were fantastic.
Yeah. I rented the same Coliseum video probably 85 times because we didn't get them all, but I just wanted to watch the big event over again. I knew what was going to happen, but the big event was always available at our VCR rental place because I can't say Blockbuster or rent a movie because we didn't have those. It was another business.
Oh yeah, it's small town. So Union City had one like that. It was a convenient shop, and then you could rent a couple videos in the back.
Ours was a pool place. How fucking ironic is that now that I think of it? It was, screw it. It's burned down. It's not there anymore. It was called Ferrogeny Spas and Pools.
Okay.
You would go in there and you could rent movies, video games, or buy pool supplies. We're not rich to have a pool. Why would I be going in there? Until a buddy said, they have VHS tapes of wrestling. What? Yeah.
Why are we not there?
The big event was always there. The big event. And then they would get, the WrestleManias, this, that, and the other thing. But, I was watching them by then. But yeah.
Yeah.
Then they would get all the, Hillbilly Jim's classic and King Kong Bundy's classic. But if I had a punch card, because I would watch it, especially during the summer,
Yeah.
I would watch it and then walk it back uptown. They're like, you have this till tomorrow, but I just watched it. You have 4 more that I haven't watched yet. I need to knock this shit off today. They're like, well, since you're bringing this one back, you can just take Bundamania right now if you want. Just bring this one back tomorrow. What if I get it back in like 97 minutes?
Yeah.
You can run through them all then, Mark, if you want to today. Can I just take them all home right now with me? No, you only paid for one, so you can only have one at a time. If, Hillbilly Jim's greatest matches isn't here when you come back because your asshole friend that owns a pizza shop might come and get that one first.
It's accurate.
So then we've started planning this then. Hey,
One goes.
We just trade them. You rent them, and we'll trade them.
Yeah.
And I had a bike by then, so I could cut the 10-minute walk down to a 3-minute ride. Why are you guys watching these so fast and fucking bringing them back? This guy that wore the red and the yellow. That's why.
It all leads back to that guy.
It does. It does.
And that note, I think this will be a perfect way to end this. I'm on X while we're recording. On SmackDown, Triple H said they would not be standing there together, all of us, without Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. So I'll raise up what I have left of my Kentucky bourbon barrel.
I'll raise up what I have left of my water. I'm jealous.
To the Hulkster. To the
Hogan.
Hulkster. A real American in the ring. Amazing. You've done so much. You've done everything for professional wrestling. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
I'm sweating over here. I'm shocked that I didn't cry with you. I really am. When we're leaving this on the podcast, I'm shocked I didn't cry with you. I've cried enough. And I'm not saying I cried enough because that sounds ignorant, but I cried. I personally
cried a lot. And I think your body needs to recover some of the tears the liquid that's come out.
I found out at work and I instantly went to my office. Everybody's like, what's wrong? Then they a couple of the people that are also on Twitter and everything, they're like, let them go. Let them go. One of the guys that I graduated with is also right directly within my office. And he's like, did you see?
He saw.
He saw. Sat in there, kind of caught myself. You have this dirty old man working in the garbage. He's like, give him a minute. So, yeah, it was rough.
It was. I said, oh, shit. Went loudly in my cubicle. And I think somebody looked and I was like, don't worry about it. I got it over here. It's fine. Turn around. We're fine. Immediately, it was a text message chain with Moochie and that. And it was just like, Jesus Christ.
By the way, Jenks is the one that told me.
I was wondering. Well, by your reaction, I'm like, oh shit, I was the one that broke the news.
Yeah.
Because Moochie sent it to me and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, I have to tell Mark because there's no other. I'm not letting you find this out 3 hours later.
Yeah.
it was something else. It's a gut punch when you think about it.
It is. And I've had a few of them, like me and John were going to a wrestling event, and we found out about Dusty on the way to a wrestling event. That hit.
Yeah.
I was working 2 weeks after, and we found out that we just met Roddy. I was working, and John sent the text, dude,
Yeah.
Roddy. And I'm like, oh my God. I was putting lineups together. And I don't know, you were probably eating a bag of popcorn.
Probably.
When we found out about Savage.
Yeah.
And I didn't get lineups out, I think 5 minutes before the fucking game, because that took over the whole everything
Mindset. Yeah.
In the front office.
I mean, 2015 was rough in general, but Dusty passing ended up going to Money in the Bank that year was so Cody Hedrick. It was a Dusty tribute show. Then my father passed. Then 2 weeks after that, Roddy passed. And I remember finding that out standing in my parents' room, like that sack of just right. You might as well have been sandbagging me, brother, at that point, because I was done. Savage was rough. These key people in professional wrestling will be rough. I don't know what deal Ric Flair's made with the devil, but when he finally goes, I don't know what he's done and how he's made it this far with the diet he had, with the beverage diet he has. But here's what I'm going to say. When Ric Flair passes, the professional wrestling world, I think that generation will come to a complete and utter stop.
Yeah.
Because that was the last big piece from the 80s.
Without a doubt.
That's still going today. I know there's Steamboat. I know there's other guys still alive. But when you talk about cornerstones for 80s wrestling, Ric Flair is the other guy in that piece of that puzzle.
Yeah. Not wet. I'm not even gonna say it.
Yeah,
it could be.
It could be.
It could be.
Well wishes.
Yes.
To him.
Somebody watch Ric Flair for a while.
Somebody keep your eye on Flair, especially now that he's got a gaping hole in the middle of his forehead. Brother's still addicted to the gimmick at that point. Right. I don't know.
Charlie, go sit with your dad.
Go
sit with your dad for a little bit.
Yeah.
Coddle him for us.
You don't need to win the tag titles next weekend. Just go with your dad. Take care of him.
Yeah, take care of your dad. We don't need this right now. Jenks, thank you for this one. We knew something was coming up, and we talked 2 seconds before we're scrapping the podcast. It can only be about Hogan. We'll shuffle again. If you're just grabbing us now, which I don't understand why you'd listen back to reverse, but that's something Moochie would do. Get your stuff in for Ask Can Crushers next week. We do have some in the hopper. I'll tell you that right now. So Ask Can Crushers will be next week, followed by SummerSlam predictions. CanCrusher69@gmail.com is one way of getting them in, or if you want to be on the show,
814-299-6867 or 6687. I don't know why I said that. Let me do that again. I did it again. 814-299-6687. Leave us a message, talk, ask us a question. Hell, even give us a Hogan tribute if you want, in a Hogan memory. That's fine too. Just give us something to talk about when we do Ask Can Crushers, which I think will be next week with predictions for SummerSlam.
Yeah. So we'll get back into the swing of things, but this week was
it needed to happen.
We needed to happen because this man has been with both of us. I'm rounding both ways. He has been our life for 40 years.
It's absolutely correct.
So
Yeah, it's the biggest reason we're here today, and you guys are listening to us.
without a doubt. So make sure you love one another. But remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things.
You're a garbage can, not a garbage can not. And I'll say it again. Make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them.
Because you never know.
Dun, 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 dun.